We've got a lot of defying matchups in the SEC this weekend. We're going to figure out a lot, but let's talk about this game between Oklahoma and Missouri. The Sooners fighting for bowl eligibility against a, we now know, ranked Tiger squad. So here to help us break it down, we've got Tom Green from Sooners Illustrated and Jerrod Hamilton from Power Mizzou. And although these are technically new conference foes, guys, they have met quite a few times. 96 meetings so far between these two teams. In Oklahoma, they dominate the overall, but right now the Sooners, they're really looking to rebound, having lost 3 straight conference games. 4 would be tied for the longest in school history, while Mizzou, they are seeking back-to-back 7-win seasons. And we're keeping it simple here, just talking matchups. We got Mizzou offense versus Oklahoma defense. Definitely some question marks for Mizzou as to who will be playing quarterback. So, Jerrod, what's the plan for the Tigers offense?
Right now, we really don't know if it's going to be Brady Cook or Drew Pine. Eli Drinkwitz has kind of been hush about it ever since he injured his right ankle a few weeks ago, and then got that upper body injury, which we think looks like more of a hand-wrist injury. To be honest, he's probably going to be listed as doubtful when the availability report comes out, but it's not seeming like he'll play this week. We know he'll come back at some point in the season, but I doubt that he'll play this week. So going to be Drew Pine, and I think the key is they've got to run the ball. They've got to do a lot more of that. They got to get the ball in their playmakers' hands and just make everything quick passes, quick runs, all that stuff, and help Drew Pine, who had 3 interceptions in his last time out against Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, for Oklahoma, I think regardless of who's starting at quarterback for Missouri, this defense needs to find a way to get off to a quick start. 3 straight games now, they've given up an opening drive touchdown on defense. One of those was because of an offensive turnover, gave up a short field, but still they've been kind of sluggish out of the gate the last few weeks, and they really need to shore up the passing defense too. The pass defense has been susceptible to giving up some big plays. Missouri obviously has some pretty good playmakers at receiver between Theo Weiss and Luther Burden. But again, regardless of who starts at quarterback, they're going to need to get off to a quick start and just kind of apply some pressure back there, because when this defense has been able to force some turnovers, Oklahoma's been really good this season. But when they've struggled to get some takeaways, it's been a tougher uphill battle for them at times.
Yeah, and the other side of things, we've got the Oklahoma offense versus Missouri defense, and there has been plenty of question marks surrounding the Oklahoma quarterback. But I want to know, Tom, just with all of these offensive changes and everything that we've seen from the Sooners, how do they continue to build momentum with Jackson Arnold?
Yeah, Jackson Arnold's been kind of a revitalized quarterback since he reclaimed that starting job. He was benched for essentially 2+ games. Freshman Michael Hawkins Jr. made 3 starts after Arnold had 3 turnovers in the SEC opener against Tennessee. And the time away from the starting role and kind of the spotlight, I think, did Jackson Arnold some good. He kind of cleared his mind. He talked about he did a lot of soul searching, and really he just kind of took a step back. And since he's come back, he's been a lot more efficient. That's, I think, a little bit to do with the coaching changes helped. Kevin Johns, who was an analyst at the start of the season, has now been very hands-on with the quarterbacks as the interim quarterbacks coach. He's really emphasized efficiency and just making quick decisions for the quarterbacks. And I think Jackson Arnold's looked kind of, again, revitalized since he's returned. He's completing 63% of his passes, 631 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. He only has 1 turnover in the last 2.5 games since returning. And, he just has this confidence about him that I think is kind of paying off for an Oklahoma offense that's looked vastly improved the last 2 weeks since making that coaching change. The run game in particular has gotten a lot better. They had 200+ sack-adjusted rush yards against an Ole Miss defense that's number 1 in the nation against the run. And then last week they had 381 yards on the ground, albeit, it was against an FCS opponent in Maine, but it's a performance that could, do a lot just from a confidence standpoint and give them something to build on heading into this home stretch.
The Mizzou defense, they just got to get after the quarterback. I mean, Oklahoma's had some trouble stopping teams from getting pressure. They're one of the most pressured teams in the SEC. They allow the most sacks per game in the nation at, I think it's 4.22. So teams have been able to get in the backfield and kind of make it hard on Oklahoma. And the thing is, for Missouri, while that sounds easy, they haven't been really great at getting pressure this year. I think they've only got 47 pressures on the season. And that's second to last behind or just ahead of Mississippi State. They've got to find a way to get in the backfield and get some pressure on Arnold. And then same thing as far as stopping the run. They've got to stop the run. Oklahoma's had some pass catchers out, due with injuries and stuff like that. They've had so many different offensive line changes. Missouri has to be able to attack that, stop the run, and make Oklahoma one-dimensional, force them to pass, force them into third down situations, which Oklahoma, I think they're around 33, 34% on third down offense. So Missouri's just got to find a way to get in the backfield and make some things happen.
Sounds like both teams know what they need to do. We'll see if they're able to execute that. Guys, we simulated this game 20 times on EA College Football 25, the video game, and Missouri won it 12 of those times. So for each team, let's start with the virtual victors, as we call them, the Tigers. Gerard, what's the biggest key to pulling out a win in the real football game?
Just kind of back to what I said. They got to get pressure, but they also got to stop Oklahoma from getting pressure on them. Oklahoma's a pretty solid defense, and they can get in the backfield. I think they're top 10 in sacks in the nation. So protect your quarterback. If you're dealing with a Brady Cook, if he happens to play, he'll be not as mobile as he usually is, as he's dealing with the ankle injury. And then if you're dealing with Drew Pine, it's not naturally his game to get out the pocket too much and scramble and run around. So they've got to be able to protect him, and they've got to be able to make some plays. And when it comes to special teams, they've got to convert on their field goals. Blake Craig is 15 to 23 on the season. It's a in the trenches type of game, and it comes down to field goals and stuff like that, he's got to be able to convert.
Yeah, I think for Oklahoma defensively, again, whether it's Brady Cook with kind of a bum ankle or Drew Pine back there, they're going to need to do something to get after them and get some pressure and try to create some opportunities for the defense to get some takeaways. Offensively, they just need to keep building off what they've done these last couple of weeks, because they were one of the worst offenses in the country when they fired Seth Luttrell, and they've shown improvement these last couple of weeks, especially with the run game. I think they really need to lean into that run game and try to ease some pressure off Jackson Arnold and let the game kind of come to him. We'll find out more, this evening when the availability reports come out, but it sounds like Oklahoma could get a couple of those pass catchers back. Jalil Farouki's been out since week 1 with a broken foot. Deion Burks, who was their leading receiver through the first 4 games, he's been out with a soft tissue injury. It sounds like both of them are nearing a return. We'll find out a little bit more, but if they can get one or both of those guys back in some capacity, I think it should be a big boost for an offense that's already shown improvement in these recent weeks.
That time of the season, week 11, we are clinging to those availability reports, but hopefully they go in the Sooners' favor. Thank you both so much for those great breakdowns. You can keep it locked into Sooners Illustrated for all things Oklahoma football, and Power Mizzou for everything you need to know about the Tigers.